Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Two Qs with Lisa Ward. I am your host, and today our guest is Miss Kate. So go ahead, Kate, and introduce yourself. Tell us a little about you.
First of all, thank you so much, Lisa, for having me on. I'm so excited to share a little bit about my story and a little bit about my work with your audience. But my name is Kate Milligan. I'm the founder of One Girl Revolution. One Girl Revolution is a nonprofit multimedia enterprise that is dedicated to highlighting the stories of everyday women and girls who are changing the world through their lives. And I founded One Girl Revolution because I have a background in PR and media. I worked in Washington, D.C. for many years, moved back to Detroit 5 years ago, and I really started to open my eyes to the fact that women's voices and their stories weren't being heard and told by the media. And, with that background of PR and media, I was like, all right, what can I do? Can I pitch stories out to reporters or producers? And I started doing that, and it still wasn't getting pickup by these stories because so often, especially when women's voices are heard and their stories are told in the media, it's very divisive or politicizes their stories, especially here we are coming into an election year. We're going to see that more than ever. And I really wanted to focus on women's commonality and really who they are as people and who they were created to be. A big part of our platform is focusing on the fact that each and every one of us is as unique as our fingerprints. And if we really believed that, how differently we would live our lives. If we knew our value, if we saw our value, our purpose, and our power to change the world, how differently we would live our lives and how differently the world would look. And so One Girl Revolution started as this kind of little heart project. It started as a podcast and then grew into an Emmy-nominated documentary series. And now we just find multiple ways to tell the stories of world-changing women and girls across America.
I love it. What an intro. Awesome. So I asked everybody two questions. So the first question is, what do you want that you don't already have?
That's such a great question. And I think there are so many different ways, even, when each of us think about a question like that, there are so many different avenues, right? You could go down like the personal side, like things that you want personally. I think about One Girl Revolution, what I want it to become. And I think there's so much work still to be done. We've accomplished so much in a few years, but my hope for One Girl Revolution is that it becomes this multifaceted media enterprise that is really supporting women who are changing the world through their lives. But I guess to merge both of those with the mission of One Girl Revolution and personally is I see in the world that there's such a crisis in women and girls to see their value, to see their purpose, and to see their power to change the world through their lives. And so to answer that question, I think the thing that I want that I don't already have, and it's more of a world-changing mission, is for every single woman and girl to see their purpose and their value and their power that they have within them to change the world. And they're as unique as their fingerprints, that they can make a difference and they can be the change that they want to see in the world. So aspirational, but that's how I would answer that question.
Do you guys have different platforms for younger women versus like more like the career woman? Because you
That's
say
a great,
girls, and that's what I think, like
yeah.
high school, college, maybe. Is there something
Yeah.
different there that y'all already offer?
Yeah, so we do the podcast, and it's interesting because and you probably see this in your own podcast, that different platforms, the interest is different. So obviously on YouTube, we have a big interest amongst younger girls, young women. And then, on Apple Podcasts, it might be more of an older audience. So we try to reach different age demographics in different ways. But my bigger dream is to, yes, have different programming for different ages, do work in schools. I do some speaking engagements at schools specifically
Okay.
for girls in this realm. And so my hope is just to continue to build that out, because I think especially if we're reaching that younger demographic to talk about these things and help them to see the power that they have to change the world, how differently they'll live their lives, right? The decisions they'll make and how they move forward throughout this crazy thing that we call life, this crazy adventure of life, how differently they would live their lives. And one thing too that I should mention, Lisa, what's cool about One Girl Revolution is we've highlighted stories of all different ages of women and girls. So everything from a 5-year-old little Lily who makes coloring books for children in hospitals, which I
Mhm.
love those kind of stories where it's like you don't have to even start a nonprofit organization. You can just do something. And this little girl came up with this concept where she would draw a picture. Her mom would take her to Kinko's. They'd make copies of all the different pictures that she would draw, and then she'd buy crayons and get the pictures bound and then deliver them to hospitals. And so I love those stories of here's a little girl that just had an idea. Her mom is obviously supportive and driving her around and taking her to the hospitals and things, but little girls can make an impact too, just as much as, any woman throughout her life.
Love that. Love that. Love that. So to continue on your mission, like the second question is, so what's holding you back from achieving it? What are the hesitations or obstacles you have right now?
Yeah, I think that my obstacles are probably similar to most other entrepreneurs. It's bandwidth. I joke that I'm the one girl behind One Girl Revolution. And so, anyone who reaches out to us on social media or LinkedIn or, anywhere, I am the one person that's answering. As of right now, I'm the one person that's answering all of those queries. And so, bandwidth is something that's holding me back for sure. And then funding, right? So, having more funds to put into these different projects. I've been so blessed and I'm so grateful to so many people who have donated and contributed in different ways. I have a friend, Rob Kasmark, who owns a production company out of Chicago, and that's how we got both of the documentaries made, because of
Awesome.
their collaboration and their willingness to be a part of this project. But yeah, I would say bandwidth and then funding is something that's holding me back for sure.
Okay. So funding, do you have a capital campaign or anything that's coming up that we need to be aware about?
Yeah, we're always doing online fundraising. And so that's kind of one avenue that, anything that people donate goes right back into the work that we're doing. It allows us to tell more stories through the podcast, through our digital campaigns. Hopefully it's going to cost a lot to do our next documentary, but we're working on that. We're working on a bigger campaign there. And so, of course, if someone wants to contribute in a larger capacity, we would love to talk to you. We're always open for that. And we have big hopes and dreams for not only the next documentary, but actually multiple documentary series that are in the works. And so we're just kind of working on that. And then I can share this because it might be up before you air this, but we're actually launching a shop. So we're going to have all kinds of really cool empowered women swag. We'll say t-shirts and sweatshirts and all kinds of stickers, all kinds of cool stuff to really spread the message of One Girl Revolution. And so that's kind of another avenue that people can support our work through.
Cool. Love that. Love that. Love that. So what's the next documentary like theme? Or do we have a main storyline that we're following?
Yeah, great question. And I'm happy to share. So the past two documentaries, the first one was in Chicago. So we actually took a film crew into Cook County Jail. So The Girl Inside, it's called, it's on YouTube. It's 10 minutes. I encourage every single person to watch that on YouTube. The Girl Inside is called, and you can find it on our website as well. So that's Chicago, really powerful story. And then we went to Milwaukee, and there's this amazing woman, Caitlin Cullen, who opened up a restaurant, and she hired people that no one else would hire. Powerful story, like beautiful people coming out of jail and prison. She hired pregnant women. She hired kids that were being targeted by drug dealers. And she was like, hey, if I can just give them a job and pay them, a small amount of money, that might be the thing that saves them. That might be the thing that allows them to put food on the table for their families. That might be the thing that keeps them out of trouble. But her story got even more powerful, more interesting. We filmed that. That was going to be the story. And then when COVID hit, she, like so many other restaurants around the world, shut down, closed her doors to customers, but there were so many people in her community that needed to be fed, that were really suffering and struggling. And so this woman is incredible. And she started making meals, preparing meals with the food that she had left in her refrigerator at the restaurant, and posted on Facebook and said, if you need a meal, come here, no questions asked, tell us how many you need, we'll give them to you. And her campaign, we'll call it that, caught fire, and everybody started donating. I remember seeing it, was like, I'll donate to that. Different restaurants jumped on board. They were helping support her. She ended up feeding 115,000 people during those first couple of months of COVID when the world was shut down. And her story is incredible. So that's in Tandem on YouTube. And so people can watch that as well. That's 7 minutes. So they're very short up until now. And so the next documentary that we're working on is a Detroit documentary, which is where I'm based. The One Girl Revolution is based. And I see it as the trifecta, right? Chicago, Milwaukee, and Detroit, ending here in Detroit. So it would be a 30-minute documentary, so a little bit longer. It would focus on the city and how people often see the city of Detroit as dead. Why are people, when I moved back from DC, when I moved back to Detroit and I live in the actual city of Detroit, people were like, why would you move there? Like, it's so incredible, the things that are happening here. And there are so many amazing women and girls who are not only transforming the city of Detroit, but their impact has a world connection, right? They're changing the world from the inside of Detroit. And so the next documentary that we're going to do is going to be focused on Detroit, and it'll feature 6 different women. So it'll be longer. It'll be like probably 30 minutes or so, featuring these incredible women and their initiatives to change the world.
That's amazing. I can't wait to see that. And I'll have to go watch your other ones for
Yeah,
sure.
you will. Yeah, please do.
That's amazing. Okay, so we've got some documentary projects.
Yep.
We always have campaigns going. We've got merch coming.
Yep.
What other projects are coming down the pipeline that
I
we need to be aware of?
There's just so much work to be done, Lisa. And when I think about it, I remember when I started the podcast and I thought, if I can just do 10 episodes, that would make an impact. And for anybody out there who wants to start a podcast, my advice to you is just do it. Not to quote Nike, but also to quote Nike. Shout out, just do it. And the majority of podcasts only get 7 episodes. And so I remember thinking, all right, if I can do 10, I know it's going to be a lot of work, but if I can do 10, that is better than the 7 that the majority of podcasts get. So I did 10 led to 20. Now we're at 215 episodes, which is incredible. 215 unique stories of women and girls who are changing the world. And then we have the 2 documentaries. And I feel like every time I interview someone, it opens up a gateway, a door to another issue, another topic, another woman or girl who's making an impact in the world. And so I think there's so much work to be done. And like I shared before, my bigger vision for One Girl Revolution is just to be this multifaceted, multimedia enterprise that's supporting the women and girls. We're highlighting the stories through the podcast, through these documentaries, but also continuing to walk with them. And so finding opportunities for them to do media, finding opportunities to promote the work that they're doing so that they can get more funding, so they can get more support, so they can get more volunteers. But the bigger mission is really to inspire every single person to say, hey, I have a purpose. I have a unique purpose. I was put here for a reason. I'm as unique as my fingerprint. And like, this woman has nothing and look at what she's doing. And, Caitlin Cullen, I brought up before here, her restaurants shut down. She had no money to keep going. She wasn't taking money from paying customers, but she figured it out. And, she put one foot in front of the other, and then all these doors that she never imagined would be opened. And those are the stories that I love the most, where it's like, people that don't have the funding to do something, but they see a need in their own community or in the world. And they're like, hey, I can just do something. And so that's my encouragement to every single person too, is we can all do something, whether it's time, talent, or treasure. There are different points in our life where, okay, maybe I don't have treasure. Maybe I don't have money to donate to something, but maybe I can offer an hour a month to volunteer at a local shelter or go visit the elderly in different senior living facilities. We can all do something, right? Or if you have a talent, like you're a graphic designer, so many nonprofit organizations and so many people that are making an impact, they need support in those ways. You know, like I'm not a graphic designer. I've figured it out through Canva. You know, I've
Yes.
become a Canva queen, like so many people. But we can all do something. And so I just encourage every single person. And that's what we want to encourage at One Girl Revolution, is that we each have time, talent, and treasure in different parts of our different chapters of our lives, and we can all do something.
That's awesome. Heck
Thank-
yes. Yeah, we all have stories to tell. We all
Yeah.
have, things that we can do, whether we
Right.
think we can or not.
Right.
So go back to when you started. What piece of advice, now that you know now, would you have given yourself then?
Oh man.
If somebody's, they think they have an idea for a project, what would you tell them?
I would tell them not to quote Nike again, but it's just do it. There's a reason why these things are put on our hearts. And I think about when I rewind back to that moment when I was like, all right, I need to start something. I don't know how to build a website. I had a friend who helped me build my first website. I didn't know how to do a podcast. Thankfully, it was like when things were starting to percolate and there was a podcast studio that I started at. Now I do it all at home. You know, I do it remotely now, but at the time I was like, all right, I'll just figure it out. And so I just think that there's so much support out there, and there's so many people that want to support you in doing what's placed on your heart. And so I think when you put one foot in front of the other and say, you know what, okay, I don't have any money. That's what I didn't have any money when I started, any funding. And I remember getting the advice, Lisa, where it was like, oh, fundraise $100,000 and then do the thing. And I was like, no, I'm just gonna like figure it out. That's not, and I'm so glad that I did it that way, because also One Girl Revolution has become what it is today. And I still feel like it's becoming, right? Like each and every one of us, like I think that life is full of many chapters, and throughout our entire lives until the day we die, we're still becoming the person that we're created to be, right? We're each a work in progress. We're not perfect. We're figuring things out as we go. And so, yeah, I think that if I could rewind and tell myself something, it would be just keep going. Just put one foot in front of the other and you'll figure it out. And I've figured it out thus far. I still have so much more to figure out. Even what I shared before, just about funding and figuring out how to fund specifically these bigger projects, how to do it. But I'm figuring it out, and I know that it's going to work out, and I can feel it in my bones. And so I just encourage every single person to just, if you have a dream, if you have an idea, even just like a little glimmer of an idea, a little spark, just go for it and let it kind of organically become what it's created to be, and it'll change your life.
Yeah. And I think that's where some of us get hung up. We ask for like validation. Is this a good idea? We get told no, or we get told oh, well, you need $100,000 to really do this the right way. And then we lose the confidence. It's the outside influence, or it's validation from the mom group online. Hey, I think I'm going to start this business. We do a poll. It's like, sometimes it's all the other outside voices that keep us from moving forward, or it's our own, ourselves. We're our worst
Yes.
critics. Oh, this is a dumb idea. No, I'm never going to be good at that.
Yes. I
Uh,
also would say too, Lisa, on that same note, as you're talking, I'm thinking about it, let people surprise you, because also like the people that, and this is not to bag on anyone, but it's like some of my closest friends, I still feel like don't really understand what I'm trying to do with One Girl Revolution. And do they support it? Sure. Do they listen to the podcast? Probably not. But then I also have, on the flip side, I have some incredible friends who have been so supportive, and who anything that I possibly need. One of my dearest friends is a CPA, and she has supported One Girl Revolution from the jump, from the moment I started. She was like, I believe in it. I believe in you. So you kind of get both of those groups of people, right, in your friend group, right? Some people, and probably family too. If I look at my family, I think I get My parents have been incredibly supportive. My siblings have, but then there are also people in the family that don't really get it. What are you trying to do? Why are you doing that?
Mhm.
And so you get these kind of two pockets of people, but then as you move forward, there are people that kind of come out of the woodwork. Maybe it's an acquaintance, or maybe it's somebody, different people that I've interviewed through One Girl Revolution have become my greatest supporters, my greatest fans, my greatest promoters. I tell every single person about One Girl. They connect me with people. And so allow people to surprise you, because there are going to be people, unfortunately, that let you down. And I think that's part of life too, right? When you go through difficult things and struggles in life, sometimes your friends let you down, or people that you think are going to be there for you aren't there for you. And sometimes it's not about them. Maybe it's just they don't have the capacity to support you, or they don't have the time or bandwidth to understand what you're going through or what's going on. But then on the flip side, in these dark moments in life, or these difficult moments in life, sometimes friends or acquaintances become your family. And I see that in the entrepreneurship journey too, where sometimes people that you didn't even think would be supportive, they come out of the woodwork to become your greatest advocate and your greatest supporter. So let people surprise you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think having a community of like other women that are also in that same boat is also helpful. So I'm in we call it a study group of advisors that, it's literally just that. We come together, talk through issues. We had this kind of thing come across our desk. So I think that is very helpful as well. And it's interesting how that group organically develops, because it might not be exactly who you think might be your advocate, your brand advisor, like
Right.
brand ambassador or whatever. So that's been, I think, would also be very helpful in starting a project, because you never know. Yeah, exactly. Like client or somebody you connect with out networking, like totally buys into the story, buys into the mission. It's like, yes, I will support you, whatever you need. And we all need good cheerleaders like that in our lives.
We
So,
do. We do. And also, we should be those cheerleaders for other people too. And so
mhm.
when you think about, throughout your journey, and I try to reflect on that from time to time. I'm not perfect on it, but I try to reflect on it. Like, how can I be supportive to other people that are maybe 3 years in the journey behind me, or who are people that I can encourage that want to start a podcast or have an idea for a business or a nonprofit? How can I support them in that? Because we need to support one another, right? Support your sisters. And I think that we need to see more of that in the world.
Yeah, I've found that unless you've been in that space where you understand like the power of a referral, power of an introduction, they might not get how impactful that is. So that's where like the family member or the friends that are like, man, whatever, you're just doing some crazy project again.
Yeah.
No, until you are in charge of something and you have that mission, that passion, you might not get it. So that's okay that they don't understand. So yeah, no, I absolutely love all of that. Well, anything else that we need to know, projects that are coming down the pipeline? It sounds like you're going to be a very busy lady the rest of the year.
Yeah. I keep thinking life is going to slow down, Lisa. I think
Oh,
that everyone
no.
can relate to this, and it doesn't. It doesn't. So, yeah, there's so many other things, I have so many sticks in the fire. So I just would encourage every single person to check out our website. It's onegirlrevolution.com. So the number one girlrevolution.com. You can find all of our podcast episodes there. You can sign up for our email list. You can find all of our social media there. Both of our documentaries are up on the website. They're also on YouTube, but you can find them very easily on our website. Follow us on social media. We'll be putting all of the upcoming things. We have so many exciting things coming up. So we'll be sending that through our email blasts, and then also promoting on social media. So if people follow us, they'll be able to follow all the great things that we have coming up.
Love it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And
Thank
look forward to
you.
seeing all your projects the rest of this year. And hope you guys log in to see the next episode. So hope you have a great day.
Thank you so much, Lisa.